So it's finally getting nice out. The spring season is here, at least where I live. I know some people live in places where it's always hot or always cold. For me, it's turning into spring. And unfortunately, the weather has been super inconsistent, so I don't know if it's going to stay. But now that it's spring, I did on my live stream some green fragrances I like, and I'm going to continue with that trend. Since it's spring, let's talk about 6 of my favorite green fragrances to wear, because when you think of spring, what do you think of? Green. It's one of the best things because all the grass comes up, all the trees start to bloom, all that good stuff. So we're talking about 6 of my favorite green fragrances for the spring. So without further ado, let's get it. What's going on, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to another video where I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite green fragrances. That means the fragrances that are herbaceous or minty or have some kind of green in them, whether it's like pine or something. It has a green facet where you think of that, you smell it and you're like, yeah, that's green, like grassy or whatever it might be. Before we get into it, make sure if you already like my videos and you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Also, make sure to hit that like, put me on the algorithm. I really appreciate you guys. Also, comment below, let me know some of your favorite green fragrances to wear. One that I left out of this because I only have a decant of it, but it would definitely fully be into this video. Well, 2 of them technically. Lolita Lempicka Green Lover, I just thought of that right now, is a nice orange creamsicle mixed together with mint. And that is a nice green fragrance that is only like 30 bucks. Then the other one would be Xerjoff Torino 21, which super hyper realistic mint with a nice herbaceous and lemon verbena undertones. Very, very, very good fragrance, and that would be on the list, but it's not. So we're gonna get started here. This one isn't a full green fragrance, it just has nice green tones to it. It's the newest fragrance that I have in my entire collection. This is M. Micallef GN Tonic or M. Micallef Gin and Tonic. I know it's GN Tonic, but alright. So the main notes in this are tonic water, lime, ginger, gin, and sandalwood, amongst others. This fragrance is a ginger heavy fragrance for sure. When you first spray it on, it's crisp. It is a little bit, what's the word for it? It's a little bit sharp from the ginger. It kind of smells like a mix between the 2 newest Lacoste Blancs. Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche, where it has this nice ginger. It's not pickled ginger, but the nice ginger freshness, almost like an ambroxany green feeling to it. Mixed together with this almost like sharper like ginger, which is what you get from the turmeric from the Lacoste Blanc Eau Intense. Mix those 2 together and add in a little bit of Bohemian Lime by Goldfield and Banks, and that is what you have with this fragrance in a nutshell, with this kind of just and it's called gin and tonic, but you get the tonic water under there. It's not like a full gin and tonic fragrance. It's more of a ginger citrus fragrance with a gin and tonic undertone, leaning into more of a slightly green aromatic fragrance with a ginger top and that gin and tonic undertone. As you get to the dry down, you get a little bit more musk in the dry down, a nice creamy sandalwood. It's a nice, beautiful fragrance. You have to like the fragrances that I mentioned. It's fresh, it's clean, it's crisp, and it is very, very unique. Love the fragrance. I wasn't 100% sure at first, but it turned out that it was just something wrong with the fluid that was in the straw upon first spray, but now that I've sprayed it, I love it, and the bottle is one of the coolest bottles. It has this like texture to it, like a tile, and then it's like double pane glass with this like porcelain cap. Really, really cool. That's M. Micallef Gin and Tonic. Lasts about 6 to 7 hours. Not 67, 6 to 7. This next one, it's a very easy wear fragrance. I wouldn't say by any means is it my favorite green fragrance, but it's a super easy wear. If I'm looking for something minty and green and super easy to wear, this is it. It is Azzaro Pour Homme Wild Mint. This is discontinued now, along with Ginger Lover and a couple other ones, but this kind of smells like what you would expect like a minty sauvage to smell like. It's like a minty ambroxan mixture. There's I believe the notes in it were mint, patchouli, and calypsone. Calypsone is kind of like this C note, aquatic watermelon almost style note, and you really don't get much of that, but you do get like this kind of C notes, a little bit of a sweetness to it. But it's a hyper realistic mint that is controlling the entire fragrance. It's almost like, and I said this before, it's if you took a higher quality version of Azzaro's Azzaro 1 and Tonic, and then you just made it like super minty. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Just like a mint and ambroxan mixture. It's a very mass appealing mint. It's a very mainstream designer mint. And you can tell it's just made by a slightly cheaper company. That's just the way it is. But it smells really nice. That's pretty much it. It's a ambroxan mint, and then you have a nice patchouli base. I know a lot of people don't like the patchouli in this, which is also what you get in the most wanted, or in the wanted tonic. Is there's a kind of funky patchouli. I like the way that it comes through in this. It's almost like it's almost like a thick patchouli mixed together with, again, a little bit of sweetness, and then this hyper realistic mint and musk over top of the whole fragrance, and a little bit of a C note quality. But that is Azzaro's Wild Mint. Very nice. Lasts about 7 to 8 hours. It's actually a pretty good projector, though. Anyway, going to the next one. This is number 3. This one, or Linen Vetiver from the line, they smell similar, but this one has always been my favorite from it. It is Banana Republic 78 Vintage Green. This has a hyper-realistic green grassy tone. And it's almost like a fruity, sweet green grassy tone. So if you like fragrances that have this green grassy tone, which I didn't know I liked, but I do. It has fig that kind of smells like fig and tea mixed together. Even though tea is not in the notes, it just reminds me of Oolong Cha at times of the fragrance. So it always reminds me of that. I don't know why. But it has this green grassy tone that takes up and encompasses the entire fragrance from opening all the way until about 3 to 4 hours. You got this nice juicy fig, a little bit warm, mixed together with, again, it feels like a tea. And it has a sweetness to it, a little bit of a fruity tone, again, from that fig, a little bit darker, mixed together, undertoning that green grassy tone. Again, this is going to be more focused on freshness, green, grassy, and then you have this fruitiness. As you get to the dry down, you get a little bit of almost like a vanillic tonka mixture mixed together. It's coming from the sandalwood, but it comes like almost like a vanillic sandalwood. It's creamy, it's warm, and then you have a little bit of a nice white musk underneath it. Very beautiful fragrance. It's a fruity green grassy fragrance at its core. It doesn't last very much. It's like 4 hours, but Vintage Green is great. It's one of the best, if not like my second favorite green fragrance for the spring. And it's only $21. I think it's $19 now at Burlington, so yeah. Going into the next one. So this one is also discontinued, but you can find it from time to time. And they're re-releasing so many fragrances in the line right now as kind of like new modern additions. So hopefully they re-release this. It is Acqua di Gio Profondo Lights. And while they don't advertise this as a full green fragrance, it's always known that whenever you have the Acqua di Gio line, you have the Acqua di Gio, the original, then you have the Profumo, which is more for the nighttime, which then they re-release as the Parfum, which is a little bit fresher. Then they had Profondo, which is now Profondo Parfum, which is more of a green edge, on like a green herbaceous edge on top of the original Acqua di Gio, just a little bit more modernized, more of a daytime, spring, and summer fragrance. And then they came out with Profondo Lights. Profondo Lights is a little bit more green, a little bit more marine than the Profondo, where this one, I believe, I'm trying to think of the full note breakdown, but I know it has like rosemary, cypress, there was balsam fir, there was a lot of herbs and spices mixed together with that C notes, the marine quality that comes with the Acqua di Gio DNA. But just so I don't confuse the people who haven't smelled this before, just picture a greener version of Acqua Profondo, which if you haven't tried, it's just kind of like a greener, more herbaceous take on the Acqua DNA. And then this one just adds a little bit more green and freshness to it. I honestly like this better than Profondo, and I like this better than the original. It was always one of my favorites from the line, and it's great. I mean, it's just classy. You can wear it pretty much any situation during the spring or summer. Acqua Profondo Lights, really nice. Going into the last two, I always save this one for last, so I'm going to put it second to last. This is Imaginary Authors Saint Julip. If there couldn't be a better green fragrance out there, I don't know what is, because I like sweeter fragrances, but I don't like them to be cloyingly sweet. I like there to be sweetness to it, but also have a nice balance of notes. This legit does all of that. It is almost like if you took... So there's a story behind St. Julip. It's like an imaginary story about this church that was carried into the middle of a mint field, and they had a party where they had bourbon and sugar cubes and stuff. Well, that's pretty much what this smells like. It smells like bourbon that is kind of dialed down and encompassed by a sweet mint. So all the other ones are a hyper realistic mint, like the mint that you would have in a tree, like in a plant in the backyard, like a mint plant. This smells like sweet mint, almost like if you had like a sugar cube and mix it together with the smell of mint, and it was just sweetened up and almost creamy. That's kind of what this smells like, almost like a mint creamsicle with a bourbon undertone. That is what this smells like, with a little bit of a citrusy opening, with this like mandarin orange that provides a little bit of a sweetness to it. But outside of that, it smells like, again, like a sugared mint creamsicle with a little bit of a bourbony undertone. It's beautiful. Again, 4 hours, whatever. I don't care. If they made this 8 hours, this will be one of the top 2 to 3 fragrances in my collection. That is St. Julip by Imaginary Authors. It is absolutely fantastic. You guys know my thoughts on it if you've been watching my channel. Anyway, going into the last one. This one hit me like a ton of bricks when I first smelled it because I thought it was Polo Green. And I remember hating Polo Green whenever I was growing up. But I found out this is not Polo Green. And they need to advertise that, because Polo Green still exists. And this is not Polo Green. It's Polo Cologne Intense. And so I've known that for years now. I'm just saying, for people who don't know, this looks like, what would you think this is? If this is sitting next to Polo Blue in a blue bottle, and then Polo Red in a red bottle, what would you think this was? Polo Green, right? Because everybody knows Polo Green exists. Well, this isn't. It's Polo Cologne Intense, and I can tell you it's much better than Polo Green. It's like a reimagined, more modern take with like a 50% new twist to it. And it has a nice, almost herbaceous, minty basil opening with a nice, beautiful grapefruit that just mixes in. While this still has a nice masculine edge to it and definitely has a vintagey vibe to it, it also has a modern take to a vintagey fragrance. So it's like a modern classic. And I can tell you, the green tones in this is something that is for that grown man who wants to wear a nice, bold green fragrance. That's what this does. Well, it's not going to like blow everybody away out there. I can tell you, if you like this fragrance, you love it. And I'm one of those people that absolutely loves it. I just got it in last year, so I can smell that for days. I mean, I'm not usually a huge fan of this type of fragrance, but it has, like I said, I'm somebody who likes a little bit of sweetness with a really nice blend of notes. And while St. Julip is sweeter than this one is, more sugary, this one has a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of an effervescent pop that you get from this like ambroxan mixture that has a little bit of a clary sage lavender mix on top of it. But this is, don't get me wrong, this is a mint and basil heavy fragrance, especially in the opening. You get a nice grapefruit, and then as you get to the dry down, that ambroxan shows its face a little bit more, as well as those aromatics. But this is a green fragrance at heart. It's like a green masculine fragrance. It's almost like if you took a blue fragrance together and added some green edges on the top of it. That's what this fragrance kind of reminds me of. But that is Polo Cologne Intense, and it lasts 7 to 8 hours. So I actually find it to be a really good performer. I know some people don't. For me, it works. I get about 8, and it's moderate the whole time. It's nothing really too potent. Unless you spray like 5 to 6 sprays, then it's kind of like above average for 2 hours, but really good fragrance. That's Polo Cologne Intense. So those are my 6. I have a lot of other fragrances that are green that I could probably put on this list as well. It's just those are the ones that came to my mind when I thought of green fragrances. I could have put Lacoste Blanco Fraiche in this, but I figured I had the new Micallef, and Lacoste Blanco Fraiche isn't a full green fragrance either. But anyway, let me know some of your favorite green fragrances. And again, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with another one. Peace out. Thanks for watching.